Welcome to Bite-Sized Book Reviews. This is Elena, and I'll be introducing A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking by Kingfisher. So I really liked this book. The main character is 14-year-old Mona. She's a baker, and she's basically been learning from and working for her aunt for what it sounds like most of her life. She's also a wizard. So in this world, being a wizard means you're born with a magical talent. It's not related to genetics in any way, like your parents can be magical and you don't have any talent, or vice versa. It just happens. So some people are born with them, and each talent tends to be super unique. So it's unique to the point where it's pretty much unheard of that anyone actually teaches anyone else to use magic, because every wizard has to work out like both what you can do and how you can do it on your own. So for some examples of how unique, I guess, like there's one character who specifically makes dead horses walk, like that's her talent. Then there's someone who can get birds to come and sing with her. And so for Mona, her particular talent is that she can I'd call it communicate, I guess, with dough. Like, just dough. She can make it, like, she can tell bread not to burn. She can get it to slice itself, or, tell it to get harder or softer and things like that. So one of her specialties is actually making gingerbread men dance. But she's also occasionally done some things that she can't really explain, but still to do it though. Like she accidentally brought her aunt's sourdough starter to voracious life. Like sourdough starters, I guess, are something that you have to care for in our world too. Like you have to give them the right amount of flour and water regularly so they don't die. But like her sourdough starter is so alive that they now keep it in the basement, and her uncle won't even go down to feed it, and they suspect that it might eat rats and stuff when people aren't around to see. It's actually probably one of the funniest parts of the story. I really like the sourdough starter. But anyway, so the story begins when Mona goes to open up the bakery for the day and discovers a dead body. And well, obviously this is kind of a shock to her, and then they call the police, and for some reason she finds herself being arrested, even though there's pretty much no evidence at all that she has anything to do with it. It's so little evidence that even the constable that's helping take her to court seems kind of embarrassed that he's doing this, because it's just ridiculous. And because it's so ridiculous, she's also acquitted pretty much really early on. But this whole process gets Mona sort of unwittingly involved in what turns out to be a conspiracy, because while she's being charged and tried and stuff, she learns that the dead girl in her bakery is actually only one of a series of murders that have been happening around the city. And she also learns that apparently everyone who's been murdered has been a wizard. So obviously this is something of a concern. And though not entirely willingly, she ends up kind of dragged into having to investigate and figure out what exactly is going on, and then helping to solve the problem. So I normally prefer stories written in third person if I really had to pick, but this story is one of the first person ones where I actually really enjoyed the fact it was first person, because I really liked listening to Mona's thought process. She both has a sense of humor that I really appreciate, and her thought process has this kind of logical thoroughness that combines with her sense of humor to just be really entertaining to me and makes sense. There was one part when she was walking back to the bakery, due to previous circumstances, she had to go through a part of the city that she does not normally visit because it's considered not a good part of the city, and naturally that makes her a bit nervous. But she's thinking about how she's not, because she can tell that the people there are watching her, because she's also kind of an oddity in that part of the city. and then she's wondering if they're the kind of people who would, like hit a girl over the head to, like take what's in her pockets and stuff. But, like she notes that, okay, so this is an area where like the people are all really poor. But then she thinks about how, okay, so being poor does not mean that you're a bad person. But, she follows this with, okay, but it also doesn't mean that you're not a bad person. But, then she thought about how, okay, but she doesn't have anything to steal. And then turns around and, oh, but, do they know that? So, like, this kind of back and forth thoroughness of when she thinks about different problems, I guess I found both kind of, entertaining, and it's just nice when characters have a bit more sense, I suppose. Like, basically, she's a character who's funny, thoughtful, learns fairly quickly, and I just overall enjoyed spending time with. And I think because of that, it made the whole book, well, just something I'm pretty sure that I will read again. And while I actually don't have any complaints about it, there is one note that, like, it is a story where some characters get killed. Like, not main characters, but they are some characters that you get to know do die. But it's, I suppose that might be worth knowing beforehand if it would bother you. But overall, like, it's a really good book. Like, it's funny, touching, and has some really thoughtful things to say, especially, like, about, like, concepts, like what it means when, people make other people into heroes, and just about being different and stuff. So yeah, I really liked it.